Welcome back to this week's episode. I am doing this straight off the bat from a coaching session with our Ascend members, and I left feeling super inspired and energized after the session. And I thought there was some really valuable stuff that we were talking about on there that I wanted to share with you. It felt like I was called to talk about this in a bigger way to all of you fabulous listeners. I want to tell you the difference between fear and courage. Fear is wetting your pants. Courage is doing what you're supposed to do with wet pants. And there are only two options in life, is that there's being courageous and having courage, and there's courage avoidance. And you're either courageous or you're indulging yourself in some sort of method or some sort of activity to avoid being courageous or to avoid courage, which shows up as often as paralysis, procrastination, some cases addiction. Philippa likes to clean her grout with a toothbrush. I would also start mowing the lawn and painting skirting boards and doing various things to stop myself from making a decision or to avoid doing something, making that commitment. So courage avoidance actually means that you're not allowing yourself to actually experience something you're supposed to experience in order to grow to the next level. But having courage and pursuing a goal despite fear or discomfort is what actually moves you forwards. And we were talking about with our Ascend program members, and they are all running significantly big businesses. And we're all in that zone of really stepping into that next level of leadership and growth and profitability in our personal lives and in our professional lives. And there was lots of feeling. And we actually did some scores on the doors, which was we score ourselves in business, personal, and confidence out of 10. And actually, as we went through the session together this morning, we realized that actually confidence was the wrong score. And we decided to replace it with a commitment score. And I'm going to explain why. So I'm going to talk to you on today's episode about the absolutely crucial step in your growth formula. So grab yourself a cup of tea, enjoy if you are driving to the clinic and listening to this or to your studio. And I feel like you're going to get a whole lot of value from this episode. Welcome to the Treat Your Business podcast, the show for clinic owners who want real, honest advice and tried and tested ways of doing things. I'm Katie Bell, and this is the new era of bigger insights and bolder conversations to help you grow a clinic and a life you love. Let's dive in. So from having lots of conversations with entrepreneurs, with clinic owners, with studio owners, often courage is the key part of the formula that everyone must go through in order to achieve greater levels of capability and confidence. So often when we are looking at our lives and our business and we're scoring ourselves in confidence, we're like, I don't really feel very confident this is going to happen. I'm not confident that this is the right team member. I'm not confident that I'm going to achieve those results. So I'm not confident that we're going to get that number of new patients in. I'm not confident I'm going to get the level of funding, or I'm not confident to step out of my clinical role and become the CEO. I'm not confident to invest in myself and step into coaching. I'm not confident to all of these things. And actually, confidence is the last thing that comes. Confidence is as a result of commitment and courage. So if you look at anybody's life and identify where they're successful and also where they're frustrated and where they're failing, you'll immediately see that the crucial difference is the presence of courage or the absence of it. So people who are successful are just super courageous. They just go, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. I don't know the how, but I don't need to know the how before I make the commitment to do the thing. So being intelligent, yeah, it's important. Skill is important. Successful experience is important. But without courage, none of these will lead to that transformative personal breakthrough. And without courage, you can't generate new kinds of growth in every area of your life. I had a conversation with two of our new Elevate members last night, in fact, and I was asking them to be courageous in making some big decisions to get the lady in particular out of her clinic, because if she doesn't, and she doesn't make some courageous decisions, she cannot invest the time needed to move the business forwards. So The model that I'm talking about is actually the 4 C's model, and it's how every breakthrough happens. It's not invented by me, it's been invented by Dan Sullivan, and it's illustrated by a kind of 4-stage clockwise progression. So commitment comes as stage 1, courage is stage 2, capability is stage 3, and confidence is stage 4. What often happens is people wait to feel confident before they then go and do something. I see and I hear this all the time. But actually, nothing starts until you commit to achieving a specific, measurable result at a specific date in your future. Once you've committed to the thing, courage is then required, because you have to take action before you've acquired the capability to achieve the result. So whether it's something that you're trying to do in the business, whether it's stepping into getting help, whether it's outsourcing, whatever it is that you're having to do within the business, you can't wait to feel confident before you make the decision to do it. You have to just decide. You then have to be courageous enough to take the initial action. You need to actually move the needle. But you're not going to know how to move the needle until you're courageous enough to just start. And capability is actually created because of your commitment and because of your courage. And then finally, confidence is a result of those 3 stages. So what often happens is that when we're waiting for this feeling of confidence to do the thing, we're just getting in our way. We are procrastinating. We are paralyzed by fear. We are listening to the little monkeys in our brain that are chit-chattering away, trying to keep us safe, trying to pull us back, our ego trying to pull us back into our safe, our comfortable zone, even though it's not that much fun. I want you to think about, when was the last time that you were truly courageous? When you threw it in the, if your children are listening, just stop them listening right now because I'm about to swear, throw it in the fuck it bucket and just go, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm making the decision. I'm being entrepreneurial. I'm stepping out of this zone. I'm stepping into, yes, what is an unknown? Do I know how to do it yet? No. If I knew how to do it, I would already be there. And be courageous enough to make that decision. Entrepreneurs are actually, how can I say this? We are courageous individuals by nature, but past experiences can often hold us back and hold us in our safe zone. So most people don't take action, and most people don't take action on a project or a goal or a thing that they want to achieve until they feel really confident, until they feel really capable about it. But when you look at the 4 C's formula, that's stage 3 and stage 4. So you can't have confidence until you've created a new capability, and you can't acquire a new capability until you first made the commitment and gone through a period of courage. And this 4-stage process is the formula for all your breakthroughs. This formula is really universal, and it starts with entrepreneurs. When the moment that you recognize and you realize that it's okay to go through a period of courage, we produce really big things. The formula tells us, of course, you're feeling a sense of fear. Of course, you're feeling uncertain. Of course, you're feeling discomfort. You've committed to doing something that is much bigger and better than what you were doing before. Now we have to grow into it. And growth at the early stages feels bad. It does not feel good. It feels scary. It's about understanding that what you're experiencing is very natural. It's not something to be avoided. I want you to lean into it. It lets you know that fear isn't a sign that you should stop. It's a step in the process towards the next breakthrough. And this is something that you can learn. Now, a really simple way to do this is to remember a growth experience. So let's make it super easy. Start with something that you personally, a personal growth experience in the past where you clearly went through these 4 stages, right? You have to make a commitment, you have to be really brave. You then developed a new skill and capabilities, and then you felt confident. So this can be something that's happened recently, a long time ago. And the important criteria here is that you took a big jump in capability and confidence as a result of going through this experience, okay? So you're going to draw your own 4. You're going to put 4 boxes on a page of A4. Okay, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. So the top right box, label what I committed to. The box underneath that one, so the bottom right, why this took courage. Bottom left, the capability that emerged. Top left, the new higher confidence. Okay, and you're going to fill those 4 boxes in. Recall your experience by writing down what your commitment to growth was in the situation, describe the courage it required, identify the new capability that emerged as a result of your courage, and then write down the whole new level of confidence that you achieved from this experience. So you've got this kind of recognizable formula that you've grasped from this past experience. So you're ready to understand why this can now be the most important skill in the rest of your life. Okay, you've all taken risk. You've all been courageous. You've just probably not written it down and not recognized it. But after you thought about it, discuss the process, keep it in mind as you go through making this next big decision or stepping into the thing that you have been avoiding or you've been putting off or you've been convincing yourself that you will just figure it out by yourself or you will just try something first of all. Commitment is the first part of the formula. First, you've got to sell yourself. You've got to have this strong, specific commitment. You might not have the motivation to even begin, but commitment happens when you make a sale to yourself. It requires you to sell yourself on doing something you don't yet have the capability to pull off. When we made the commitment to have Clinic Growth Live version 2, 2026, I just made the commitment of how many people I wanted in the room. I didn't have the capability. I didn't know how, I didn't have the room. I didn't have the hotel that was going to be able to do it to start with. We didn't have the AV team. I had never presented in front of that many people before. I hadn't held a room like that before. I hadn't done the format that I'd produced before. I hadn't taught the things that I was going to teach in that way before. I'd never had my team support in that way before. We'd not done the marketing in that way before. We'd never done a WhatsApp campaign before. Like all of these things were created as a result of me making the commitment to sell myself on something that I didn't have the capability to pull off at the time, but that's what emerged as a result of it. So you're stating a particular result. It could be that, like for me, it was the number of people that I wanted in the room to be able to help. So that is the first thing that you need to do. And the moment that I'd made that kind of commitment and I had a deadline, it was like March the 26th, March the 27th, can't remember what it was. It was like, shit, now I have to scramble. So procrastination stops you, courage keeps you going. So often when we think of making a big commitment, we think of facing fear and uncertainty. Courage is your response to all of these worries and to all of these fears. It's the most important thing is to keep going forwards despite the temptation to procrastinate or to clean the grout in your tiles or to turn away from that commitment. I see this time and time again when shit gets tough for people, when things aren't working in the way that they think, they often push the blame. Oh, this is not working for me. This format's not working for me. I'm not getting what I need from this. Or the marketing isn't working, or this is not working. And actually, this is the time that you need to lean in. You need to own it. You need to be courageous. The difference between procrastination and courage is that procrastination, like you feel the fear, you make the excuses and you stop, while the courageous person feels the fear and moves forward anyway. It's that whole moving forward, being courageous with wet pants. The opposite of courage isn't fear, it's actually being a coward. And all of us experience fear, but how we respond to it is absolutely crucial. Confidence feels great, right? But courage really doesn't. Courage doesn't feel good to start with, but it doesn't mean short periods of courage aren't necessary or are not important. So my feeling is that we talk about building resilience in business and how do you move to the next level. It's actually just like courage must be talked about as a major skill that you need to develop and learn, and is a necessary step in the process of building confidence in any area. And then courage creates capability. So when you commit to achieving a breakthrough in your performance and your results, the commitment triggers the courage to go into unknown territory. The courage suddenly puts you in a position where you could fail. And it's scary because you're risking all that you've already achieved. You're betting what you've already done on the future. You're taking yourself out of your existing comfort zone, even though it's boring, letting go of your existing confidence to create a new higher level of confidence. Do I now think presenting in front of just short of 200 people is a big scary thing? No. Did I think before I walked on stage, was I shitting my pants? Yes. Am I now going to do an event, if I was to do it again next time, for any less than that? No. So I've developed this new level of confidence. This brain puts you on a high alert, and it has this like ability to create this new capability, but you get this big sense of adrenaline. You get a sense that like the sense of urgency sharpens, your mind simplifies your priorities and your decisions, and you are highly energized to just make this breakthrough. And we saw this on the Ascend call this morning. We were talking to one of the girls in particular, and she was like, I feel like I could go and run 10 miles. I hate running, but and this is what was happening. It was like we were making the commitment, and she's got that courage was coming through. So the moment you make a commitment, you might not yet have the capability or the confidence to pull it off. So when you go into action and start moving towards the result, that takes courage. It doesn't mean you feel good about it, but you're going to have to persist until the new capability and confidence actually comes into play. So did I feel good walking, investing all this money in the hotel and the AV team and having all the team there on the day and all the marketing spend that we did to get people in the room? No, that all felt really scary. Did I stop at any point? No, we pushed harder. We lent into it. I was like, just lean into this feeling of discomfort. And while you might not have the choice about going through a period of courage, you do have a choice as to whether it's going to be a long period or a short period. A long period of courage would have been like committing to running that event in 2 years' time. Okay. That would have taken me a long time to feel courageous and put all of that work and keep myself where I needed to be to deliver on that. Whereas basically I gave myself 6 months. So it was a medium length of time that I had to really lean into that courage. The uncomfortable period of courage is also shortened by the strength of your commitment. So the more specific your goals are and deadlines are, the stronger and more achievable your commitment will be. Writing it down is on paper, like really important. Having an accountability partner, being surrounded by people who are doing great things makes you step in and step up at a much bigger and higher level. Outside of existing capability and confidence, this is key. You can skip the courage step, but you won't turn out a result that is any better than what you've already achieved before. If you skip this step, if you play a same safe game, you're just operating within your current, like present level of capability and confidence. And courage comes into play when you've committed yourself to something outside of your level of confidence and capability. It's the commitment without the guarantee of capability or confidence that is really fucking scary. And this is actually where innovation comes from, because innovation starts when people are thrown into a situation, they are committed to getting a bigger and better result, and then they have to figure it out. I didn't know all of this stuff that I needed to do before I made the commitment, but you can't sit on the sidelines and try and come up with a new capability. You actually have to be in the stress of it, the stress of that situation, to figure it out and to work your way out of it. So one of the great things that happens when you let yourself go through this really uncomfortable period of courage is that you zone in on your most powerful areas, like your zone of genius, which is where your greatest energy, your greatest usefulness, your greatest creativity are always found. So being in a committed state of courage enables you to use your zone of genius to innovate at an entirely new level. And then capability creates confidence. So the activity of going through a period of courage with a clear breakthrough in mind produces the innovative energy to create a new, more powerful capability, more new skills. And the moment you acquire this capability, your confidence goes back up, next level. But so many of us wait to feel confident before we actually decide to do the thing that we want to do. Bigger futures, better futures come from new capabilities. Confidence is just a byproduct. So I'm no longer going to get people to score BPC, business personal confidence. I'm going to score business personal commitment. Confidence is how you feel as a result of acquiring the capability. That confidence in turn creates the capability to go to the next level again. And it sets you up for your next level of growth. And that is why success breeds success. And when we feel stagnant or when we feel stuck or we're playing too small a game, it's because you're not being courageous enough. You're not making a commitment soon enough, quick enough. You're procrastinating. You're in a state of paralysis. So the bigger payoff from achieving greater confidence is actually a much stronger motivation and ability to start again at a much higher level of performance and impact, and to keep doing this for the rest of your life. That is why you often see people who are courageous, who lean in, who are challenged and stick with the program and do the things we tell them to do, are the ones that breed more success and go to the next level. And that is why I love teaching our Ascend members, because they take responsibility, they own it 100%. And I'm like, what do you need to do? Not blame your team, not blame the marketing, not blame your coaching, not blame this, not blame that. What do you need to do? What do we need to commit to? How do we need to be courageous? And then we know that we're going to get the capabilities and the skills and the things that we need to make that thing happen, to take us to the next level. I hope you have enjoyed this little short, sharp burst of motivation. And I just felt like I needed to share this concept, this formula with you, for you to take this into your week. What have you been avoiding? Where are you waiting to feel confident before you actually do the thing? I would love to know. You can send me a DM on Instagram or on Facebook, or send me an email if you've got my email address. Send me a WhatsApp if you've got my WhatsApp number. Loads of you have. What have you been avoiding? Because you're waiting to feel confident. You're waiting for something to happen and evidence to be there for you to take that next step. Have a great rest of your day. And whatever your day has in store, just commit. Just decide you're going to do it. And I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Treat Your Business podcast. Hit subscribe now and keep joining me for bigger insights, bolder conversations to help you build a clinic and a life you love.